Hello, everyone. This meeting will be an exam guide for the software engineering and technology subject, and we will start with the official guide given by the professor. So here they say that in this assignment, you must work with, oh, I sound muffled. I sound muffled to everyone. Can someone else confirm? All right, so the mic is fixed. So they say that in this assignment, you must work with things. The things.thing record class represents the thing and has the following components. So the thing can be, the country's repository that would then replace thing with country, or with Lego set replace thing with Lego set. So if you look at this, this is the mock-up repository made by Muzaffar, and he was kind enough to make it public and give access to everyone, to the repository. So this will be an example of how the exam will be. So you have the source main. And here you have the resources, which will be the JSON file. I'll cover that later. Then here you see brick set. So this Lego set is the thing. So I think in countries, it will be like countries and then country here. Lego set is an exception because here is the repository. No, the package name is brick set, but the thing name is Lego set. But just to have an idea, there's a package, and inside the package, you will have the thing. So whatever it is. Anyway, so they're saying the things.thing means that it is in the things package and the file name is thing. So this is in the brickset package and the file name is Lego set and it's a record. So that's basically what they mean. And it has the following components. The list of record components will be shown here, or you can just go there and you can see the component. It says string number, string name, year, string theme, that stuff. So to start off, they will give you a zip file. So let's get this zip file. Oh. Now here's the thing. I think that zip file that they give will not have a GitHub repository in it. I think this is automatically a GitHub repository. They have to make it a GitHub. Muzaffar had to make it a GitHub repository so we could have it. But I'll download it as zip just to give you an idea of how it will look. So let's say this is the folder where you will be doing your assignment or the exam. So the first thing you'll do is extract it to here. So it's extracted. I'll delete the zip file. And once you go in, this is a parent directory. So you go and you're supposed to open it as a project in IntelliJ. Let me try it from here. By the way, you'll have to use the community edition. There's not a lot of difference between community and IDEA Ultimate. So I'll just use Ultimate for now. So open as project, we'll go open and let's see download. Mm. Oh, it's the whole, yeah, it's gonna be a long process. Let me see if I can just drag it here. Yeah, so that works. The little difference is like the AI stuff and advanced HTTP request stuff, the features that the IDEA has. By the way, let me add this to the screen share. So as long as you remember that you should never use IntelliJ IDEA Ultimate in the exam, you will still be able to do what I do here on the community edition. So now we have it open as a project. Now you can see that all those things are here. You have a project view. And the first thing you have to do is get in it. Well, let me just go through this. So under the source main resources things directory, you can find a binary file named things.serial. So this is the important thing because right now if you go to here resources, yeah, here. If you go to resources, it's a JSON file. And this is an advantage because you can actually see which fields you have. But in the exam, as he said here, it will be a binary file here, binary file. And one of my friends actually got confused by it because the binary file was literal binary. I think it was like 0110011, something like that. So you can't do this anymore. You cannot read what elements you have by just what fields you will have by just reading the actual JSON file. This will be binary. So then what you have to do is you have to go through the Java file and look at the record class that represents that object. So Lego set here. So this is a thing called deserialization and serialization in programming. So the JSON file will be, it has fields, right? It will be in this format. It has name, age, name will be a string, age will be an integer, hobbies will be an array of strings and stuff like that. So what Java does is it deserializes. First, this file is called the serialized file. If you see here, it says it's dot ser and serialization. This means that this file was converted from a Java object into a file. So what the program will do is it will use deserialization, which means you convert the JSON file into an object in Java. So you can see all the fields match one on one. So the reason I'm explaining that is because now you know that you can just look at the record and every single field inside the record corresponds to a field inside the JSON file, all of these. It doesn't necessarily have to be in order, but it has to have the same, it has to have the same names. So now that's it for the fields. By the way, if anybody has a question, feel free to interrupt me by chat. Let me disable unmuting just in case somebody decides to spam. But yeah, you can type whatever you want in the chat. I'm always keeping an eye on it. Also, if somebody comes late, I will be recording it and I will post it as well. The interface contains five. Okay, so things.thing manager interface provides support to work with thing objects. The default method getThings returns a list of 1000 thing objects. So from here on out, I can call thing anything. Let's say it can be country. Countries.country manager is provided the support with the country objects and the default method get countries. So just like that. Right now, Lego set. So I'll say Lego set manager works with Lego set objects. Let's see if we have it. So here we do not have a Lego set manager. We should in the exam, but since this is a mock environment made by Muzaffar, he did the best he could in like a little time so that we could use it for learning. So it doesn't have a manager. But what do they mean by that? They mean it's an interface and it contains five abstract methods. Okay, so you can see here there is only one interface. This is the interface. It provides five abstract methods. So it's six, but this is not an abstract method. This is a default method. So what this method does is it lets you get all. So get Lego set repository. This deals with the whole aspect of getting the JSON file and then, this. This will automatically be handled by the professor. So you don't have to worry about converting the binary file to the record. That's why I recommend you read the record instantly. You will see the fields. So this will be presented by the professor. You don't have to worry about it. So this is the interface that you'll be dealing with. This interface will have this method that allows you to get all the objects in the repository and then five queries that you have to solve yourself. I I have been told that these queries they get harder. So the first one will be easy, then hard, then harder, then hardest, then hardester, whatever. So that's how it goes. So now you know up till here. Next up, preparations. So this exam, you will be dealing with a local repository. What does that mean? That means that this repository is not hosted on github.com. You will have to make it yourself. So you can see here, all Git operations must be executed in your directory, which contains the project's pom.xml file. So you see, this is your directory, right? The folder. And you go here. This is the pom.xml file, the root directory. So all the commands should be in this directory. How can you check that? You can go to the terminal. By the way, mine has PowerShell by default. You should have something else. You should have Git bash. So how can you check? You look at the path. Downloads. This is, ignore this. This folder, see, this is the same directory as the pom.xml file. So you're chilling. What do you have to write? Git init. So what git init does is it sets up a Git repository over here. So let me do that. Initialized empty Git repository. So you can know that you are now working inside a Git repository if it says master here. So that's the first step done. Configure Git properly, setting the user.name and user.email options in the repository with these commands. By the way, you will have these instructions in the exam, so you can just copy paste. So you copy this. Your full name should be the one on Neptune. Then, so what does this local do, by the way? It means that you're not setting it for the whole computer. You're only setting it for this one repository, just in case you were wondering. So then you copy this next second one. This I recommend it should be your mailbox.unideb email. So at mailbox like this. And then this is just them telling what the local is. Now import the directory of the project into the Git repository. Hmm. What happens if you mess up a Git config? Like instead of first name, last name, you write Big Chungus. Git config, these commands, you can just run them again. Just run this command again, and it will overwrite the previous one. Okay, so we import the directory. This is covered in the previous videos I made with the basics of GitHub. So I'm not going to cover them in detail, but git add period will add all of these files to this GitHub. So git add period, all of these files are added to the repository. Git commit. Okay, so we make the initial commit with this message, initial import. Done. So they have been committed. Now, interface implementation. Now, this is interesting. I'll actually keep it side by side. So what does this mean? Your job is to create a class named Thing Manager Implementation in the things package that implements the interface. So if you can see here, it says things, right? So this will be the same package as the interface. So what we have to do is we have to create the implementation in the same package, and this implementation will implement the interface. As you know, in Java, a class can implement an interface. So you should implement the interface with the implement methods, which creates stubs for the interface methods. So what are stubs? Stub is basically uh, a method that isn't really functional, like it doesn't do anything, but the name of the method, the return type, and everything is working. So here's what you do to create that implementation. You go to the package, new Java class, and you name it thing manager implementation, right? So whatever is the name of the interface, just put implementation in front. I think, yeah. I'll actually confirm that in the group. Lego set interface. Yeah. You see the name of the interface is thing manager. So you're just supposed to put impl in front. So Lego set interface implementation. Yeah, I'll just use that. Yes, for this is the brick set. And can't we use the Lego set repository, which is already made? So if you check the Lego set repository, all Lego set repository does is does the get all, like it gets all of the Lego sets from the JSON file. So the reason you're supposed to use Lego set interface is because it actually creates the, you can see here, get Lego sets and dot get all. So you could do Lego set repository dot get all for the implementation, but the reason you can use get Lego sets is because you're already implementing the Lego set interface, right? So why do another implementation? So like Lego set interface implementation implements Lego set interface, right? So with this, you can just call the get Lego sets method of the Lego set interface. But you are correct. You could just call the get all method of the Lego set repository and it would work. When I start solving, I can show you both. So when you create this implementation, the first thing you have to do is implement the interface, like so. It instantly turns red because the methods are not implemented. So you go implement methods, and that is a default method. It's not abstract. So abstract methods are all chosen by default, like they're marked. Here's something you have to choose. You have to choose copy Java doc. And what this does is you see these strings, this thing, it gives some details about the method. You can see in the interface, it's there. So what that checkbox does is it copies the Java doc to the implementation class, which makes it easier to understand what you're doing while writing the implementation. So anyway, by the way, what the Zuhair said, you can get all the Lego sets in two ways. One, you could do this, you could call the Lego set function, like, see, get Lego sets. You could call this, so get Lego sets. This could work. Or what some people prefer is you extend the Lego set repository class. And I think you have to do extends before implements. Yeah, now it works. So instead of this, you could do this, get all, and it would also work. So what you prefer is dependent on, it's dependent on you. Either way, it's going to be a list Lego set. Even now, it's a list of Lego sets. So I prefer to have as little class operations as possible. So I just implement this and do get Lego sets. Let's know. So what is a stub? You see these simple methods like this one? It creates the method. It creates everything besides like the actual logic. That is called a stub. So these are all stubs. By the way, let me delete what I did here. Oh, let's see. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. So I just I just implemented the interface, right? What do you mean I didn't do it by tags? Can you elaborate what you meant by me not doing it right as the first query? Yeah, I'm not solving the queries right now. I'm showing you how to implement it first. So you just created the implementation, right? And it turns red. So for this, it's very important that you follow this step by step, because if you see here, they tell you, Hisham, the reason I didn't implement the queries is because here they say a Git operation, add the thing manager implementation class with the method stubs and the main method to the repository in a commit where the message is feature, add thing manager implementation class with method stubs. So that's the important thing. If you already implement the queries, they might say that, okay, we only asked for the stubs and you fail. So that's why it's important to follow this step by step. So the first thing you have to do is create the steps. Okay, implement the methods, copy Java doc, everything. Okay, what's next? The method body is generated will either be empty or contain a return zero, return null, return empty statement. Yeah, that's expected. Like this one is empty. So now there is, look how they tell you not to do anything else. Just stay with the stubs. So the next thing you have to do is in this class, add a main method. So that you can just type PSVM and it will add the public static void main. And what do you have to put in it? Var manager is equal to new thing manager. So here, note how it says manager is equal to new thing manager. If you remember above, this is just the generic, just a generic instruction. You have to replace it with your actual class. So if you remember, thing manager is what our Lego set interface is. So we will do var. We can just call it manager if you want. So var manager is equal to new and Lego set interface. Yes. Now let's see what the problem is. So here I have a feeling that this might be a problem in the example because new thing manager, if the thing manager is supposed to be the interface, right? See, thing manager is supposed to be an interface. Interfaces cannot be instantiated. So this is supposed to be thing manager IMPL, in my opinion. So what I will do is IMPL. Yeah, it should be the implementation, right? But in the instructions, they have written the interface. I think it's a typo in the instructions. So I'll do IMPL. Now it works. So now they say Git operation. Add the thing manager IMPL class with the method stubs and the main method to the repository. So note how they say in a commit, whose message is this. First, you have to add this to the repository. So I recommend just to add period. Oh yeah, git add period. So this file has been added to the repository. Then you do the commit. So in a commit, whose message is this. So here's what you do. Git commit m and you type it feature add and the class name. So what is the class name? Lego set interface. By the way, it might be different for your exam. That's why I'm explaining everything. Lego set impl class with method stubs. Done. Commit. So now we have reached till here. The next thing you have to do in the thing manager implementation class, you must implement each abstract interface method as follows. If the return type of the method is void, so you can see here, if the return type of the method is void, like print all themes by tag, and the method name starts with print, like this one, then the implementation of the method must look as follows. So print something, get string. So basically what they're saying there is that if the method name it returns a void and the name starts with print, the final operation must be a for each print. So you must print every item in the stream. So they're giving a pattern. It's a really good thing. They're avoiding any confusion that could happen with the students. So that's the first rule. The second one, if the return type of the method is non-void, they give a type, like it could be an integer, it could be a list of students, countries, whatever, then the implementation must look like this. Some type, and then get things dot stream and intermediate operations and a terminal operation, like basically a normal stream. So the rules are that the methods must contain only a stream pipeline. So only return and then a stream. You cannot assign anything before the return, stuff like that. Nothing else is allowed, not even one line, because you will fail. See? Then to demonstrate the use of the interface, you must call all 5 abstract methods of the interface on the instance in the main method. If a method returns a value, it must be printed on the console. So what they mean is, this main method you created. So you have 5 queries, right? So every single query, you have to call it here. Like you can go query 1, query 2, 4, 5, 4, 5. And each query you have to call it in the main method to prove that it works. If you don't, it will count this query as wrong. So this is really important. If you can have the perfect query, but if you don't call it, it will count as a fail. So another important thing here is that if a method returns a value, it must be printed on the console. So print all themes by tag. You can just call it and be done with it. Query number 2 returns something. So you have to print this. So this will be this. But since it's returned something, wait, it takes something as well. It takes a theme. I think they will fix it in the actual exam. They won't give the ones that need an input, or they will do something, because if the input file is in binary, like right now, all I have to do is go to the JSON file and I can just copy one theme, icons, for example, just pass it here, and that's it. But in the exam, since the input file is binary, I don't know how you can see an input and give it to test it. And if you don't give it, it will give a compilation error. You get what I mean? But anyway, so since this returns a value, you have to print it out. So just copy the whole thing. Yeah. So the query 3, it also returns a value. So you will just have to print that value out. Get every species of icons. And then query 4, it returns a value as well. So you just print it, and 5, you will just print it. Well, there's 1 minute left. There's no time to explain anything besides this, so I'll just do this. What is query number 4? Get sum of pieces by theme. So for that, I'm expecting it will ask for a theme. So then get sum of pieces by theme. No, actually, it doesn't take a parameter. Let's go. And the last one, get Lego set by theme. There you go. So that means we cover until here, and from the next video we will cover from here. So see you guys in the next one in 10 minutes.